Hi, David. David. Okay, I'm on my phone, so I'm gonna try to. I'll put you on speaker. You can talk, and I'll try to call you on my PC. But if we have to do this, that's okay. And I don't hear much noise in the background, so I'm gonna put you on speakerphone so the people can hear you. Okay? Okay, here it comes. David, say something for the people. David, go ahead and speak.
Okay, all right. So you can hear some background noise, and if it's too much, I'll just do texting in the chat room.
No, it's not too much. Go ahead.
Okay, so, just to bring us up to date, I had a couple of interviews on Monday and Tuesday that seemed to go quite well. Hagman and Hagman Show and Jason Goodman, and presumably or hopefully some of the people in the chat room heard that and draw their own conclusions. So, I figure Abel Danger is all about momentum, and every time an incident occurs, such as the mowing down of pedestrians or bicyclists on the bike path by the Hudson River on the 31st of October, Abel Danger should swing into action and do a little research into how this guy pulled it off, right? Now, he got into the country on 2010 on what is known as a diversity visa program. And who do you think issued him with his bloody visas, Phil?
Well, Chuck Schumer, the Jewish guy from New York, apparently sponsored it, but who do you think issued it?
Well, Serco. Serco is operating your National Visa Center, and we've been telling people, including General Kelly, that that's a program, at least with being operated by Serco, should be shut down immediately, because what Serco has been doing since 1994, when they got the gig to the contract to operate the National Visa Center, is bringing in sleeper cells that they've been embedding in the Small Business Administration's 8A program run by your sister, where these guys can be pulled out of the woodwork and then deployed in action to kill Americans. So why isn't Kelly doing something about it?
Well, why isn't Kelly issuing my wife a visa? These guys are testing my patience. But anyway, go ahead, you speak.
Yeah, so they should, because if they can let in this guy, Saipov, to kill Americans at some later date, why wouldn't they get a visa for your good wife who has totally benign intent, and she can actually bring a major focus to bear on what the Brits are doing in the United States of America, including this British company, Serco, runs the United States Patent and Trademark Office. It runs the Digital Fires training program at Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton, and it runs the Defense Ammunition Center. So what I don't understand is why America, well, I do understand it because it's that cruddy creature, Clinton's and his cronies, they've outsourced the government, the administration of the government in large measure to this British company, which is a RICO. Over to you.
Yeah, I'm dealing with tech issues. In fact, well, I can't have Denise help me because you're on my cell phone.
Okay, so first paragraph of today's post. Please accept brief 126 from Field McConnell, United States Marine Corps whistleblower and Global Operations Director of Abel Danger, on Serco's apparent use of demon face recognition software to track the late Uber driver, Sayfullo Saipov, from his entry into the United States in 2010 under the Diversity Visa Program into the rented truck with which he murdered 8 people on a bike path along the Hudson River in New York on October 31st, 2017. So now, these guys must think we are really stupid. If you look at this guy and the trajectory that he executed with that truck, apparently the FBI said, amazingly, he's been planning this for months or years. So this much vaunted program, initiated by Field's sister, the transformation of the FBI, where the objective was, this is when she was president of the National Academy of Public Administration, which is the bureaucratic elite, which recommended to Congress, and it was accepted by this clown Robert Mueller, that the focus of the FBI should shift from crime scene investigation to the prevention of terrorism. Well, folks, it's not working very well. And one of the reasons for that is because Field's sister is a useless parasitical bitch. So why give this woman a career which paralleled, very interestingly, the career of one Stephen Paddock? Now, Stephen Paddock is the guy who allegedly shot up those people at the Harvest Festival in Las Vegas on the 1st of October. Stephen Paddock is the guy who hauled up 10,000 rounds of ammunition into his room in the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino with about 23 guns, most of them semi-automatic, but they had a bump stock modification so they could fire as fully automatic. He's alleged to have fired 9 continuous minutes, well, obviously interrupted to pick up another gun, and killed, 57 or 58 people at the Harvest Festival. And then 75 minutes after he shot this guy Campus, the hotel security guard, in the leg with one of the 200 bullets fired through the door of his room. 75 minutes after Campus was shot in the leg and called up the cavalry show up, and lo and behold, they knock the door down, though Lord knows how much was left of the door after 200 bullets went through it, and they find suspect number 1 dead. So the question is, did they do an autopsy to find out when he died? What happens if he died the night before? What evidence do we have that he was ever alive when the room took stock of all of the rounds of ammunition? Now, there's another problem. Who controls the distribution of ammunition in the United States of America to the military and to the civilians? Well, I'm afraid the Defense Ammunition Center is run by Serco. So you've got Serco running the National Visa Center that issued this diversity visa, whatever the hell that is, to this guy Saipov. Totally agreed. Second paragraph. McConnell alleges that the Greek life associates of Wilbur Ross, Serco's former investment banker at NM Rothschild & Sons, set up the CAI private equity group with the late Stephen Paddock, former auditor with the Defense Contract Audit Agency and a Lockheed Martin predecessor company, to operate as an 8A death pool bookmaker in elite hotels for the first live broadcast mass snuff film in human history on 911. This guy, Stephen Paddock, was a high-value target. And I think your sister suspected him of becoming a whistleblower, or alternatively, she figured his behavior was getting very erratic and irrational, and he had to go down, and in order to do that, she needed to create a lot of collateral deaths, like at the Harvest Festival. It's my opinion, Field, and one day we'll get into court, and I think it can be demonstrated, or hopefully it'll be demonstrated, that Stephen Paddock was murdered the night before the attack in Las Vegas Harvest Festival. And the bellhops, or people dressed as security in the hotel. Now, why would we think hotel security is associated with Serco? Well, Serco provides security for the Trump Turnberry Hotel in Scotland, and a whole bunch of other starwood hotels that have now been merged with Marriott hotels. So Marriott runs 1 million, over 1 million hotel rooms around the world. Any one of those hotel rooms can be equipped ad hoc to support a junket betting scenario. What do I mean by junket betting scenario? It means, that's what Stephen Paddock was doing, it means you get into that junket room with a certain set of privileges, provided they know they can control you. One of the great advantages of Serco's demon face recognition software is you can track someone through, I don't know, a rave at the pig farm, or some kind of encounter with a child in Jakarta, maybe Of course, the software wasn't available then. Maybe with a little guy called Barry Spitaro, who when he was a 7-year-old child in Jakarta, appears to have been pimped by his mother and his father or stepfather, Lolo Spitaro, through a cross-dressing male prostitute called Turdy. That's a serious disadvantage to start your life with, but certainly it should preclude a guy like that ever getting into the White House. So what's happened is, I believe you have in the United States of America 16 intelligence agencies. Now, you don't have to be an expert manager or even the President of the United States to know if you've got 16 bureaucratic infighting agencies, you're never going to be able to determine what the truth is. Now, it's my great hope, Field, that your Marine Corps generals, not yours, but the Marine Corps generals which are around Trump, and hell knows, I mean, this guy, Kelly, by now he should have acted. And today I see in the paper that Trump is describing the immigration procedure and the Department of Justice a joke. Well, it is a joke, but why haven't they shut Serco down? Now, the reason why they haven't shut Serco down is Serco is the most terrifying company in the world.
But anyway, I'm not afraid to go to Serco. I'm not afraid to go to the United Kingdom. I certainly wouldn't be afraid to go to Washington and visit those 3 Marine generals. But I'm starting to doubt 2 of them, maybe 3, it depends. 2 of them had postgraduate education at Georgetown. What does that tell you, David?
Well, exactly right. And at all of these bizarre initiation ceremonies or hazing ceremonies or pledging ceremonies, there's a wonderful opportunity, particularly if they're off campus, to put the young men and the young women at the university through some kind of humiliating behavior, rather like your sister. Apparently she specialized in Mendenhall rapes, which is mounting someone from behind, and get the pictures, and then to a certain extent I would imagine you own those individuals for the rest of their careers, whether it's military, political, legislative, or industrial. So I think this is what's happened. This is why Serco is so terrifying, because, for example, periodically international police, Interpol or Europol, announced they've just picked up 100 pedophiles using demon face recognition software developed by Serco. So Serco, I don't know if you have that phrase in English, is dobbing them in. Okay, so dobbing is whistleblowing and whistleblowing is dobbing. And what Serco can do with demon face recognition software is track anyone who has engaged or might be suspected of engaging in a pedophile encounter with a child that may extend to anything like just straightforward sexual abuse to the torture murder of little John Benet Ramsey, and archive those images, and at a subsequent date fulfilling what essentially the RCMP described as a virtual floating matrix, they could send an image to a targeted individual and have them do something they should do, and more important, not do something they should do. Now, I think what we're finding, and it's been a long and painful process, but that's the nature of these things, it's a very complex situation, is that the signature of the criminal organization is expressed in a very subtle way in terms of at any major crime scene, if you dismiss all of the people who are totally innocent and ignorant of any particular conspiracy, there's one group of people that does what it shouldn't do, and another group of people that doesn't do what it should do. And with the criminal organizations that has existed over decades, right back, for example, to RCAGB 1929, which was founded in 1929 as a wholly owned subsidiary of Radio Corporation of America in New York, and all of the crimes committed by this organization through World War II, right through Pearl Harbor and on to 9/11 and right up to the present time where it's now called Serco, of Amalgam Virgo and Global Guardian, that they would be in a position, American defense getting stood down when the war game maestro said, we call it, what's the phrase? What's the war game maestro's phrase? Knock it off, that's it, on all channels. Historically, that's the end of the war game. and the blue team and the red team stand down. The red team is trying to take out the targets, the blue team is trying to defend the targets, and that's at a particular moment when the blue team is extraordinarily vulnerable. Now, I'm very confident that Captain Gerald DeConto, the duty officer in the US Navy Command Center, received a command, knock it off, in the middle of this war game, just as some weapons platform was approaching the US Navy Command Center, which had been commissioned by the British company AMEC. Just another example of total corruption in the Defense Contract Audit Agency, which for a period was audited by one Stephen Paddock. Your sister would know that Stephen Paddock was an expert auditor of these kind of things. She would also know that he was an auditor of predecessor company to Lockheed Martin, which is one of the companies on the Federal Bridge Certification Authority network. And if Lockheed Martin is told to knock it off in the middle of a war game, it's going to hand over the controls of some of its assets to these 8A companies. So we've got an extraordinary situation where the intelligence agencies of the United States of America, there's a large number of people who are not doing what they should do. And there's a smaller number of people doing what they shouldn't do. Now, to the extent the FBI has an intelligence activity, my assumption is that on 9/11, the FBI Director Robert Mueller did what he shouldn't do, knowing that a whole bunch of people underneath him would not do what they should have done because they were being blackmailed. Now, whether Robert Mueller ever met or knew of Christine Marcy, he should be listening to us, because we've explained exactly what drives Christine Marcy. She's a psychopath, but she's not a stupid psychopath. So now, third paragraph of today's post. McConnell claims that Serco's 8A digital fires experts used Paddock's phony mentor-protege contracts to procure the surveillance drones which allowed CAI to take insider bets in VIP junket rooms on the time a high-value target would die, or bets on the body count for low-value targets, such as the 5 friends from Argentina, M and Diego Mendoza, Diego Enrique Angelini, excuse my pronunciation, Alejandro Damian Pagnuso, Ariel Ehrlich, and Hernan Ferrucci, who were murdered on the bike path by a man with a Serco diversity visa on October the 31st of 2017. So I thought it would be politic and courteous to give these individuals that are so often named as, 8 victims. These were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Argentina friends who were celebrating their graduation from 30 years before. Presumably very nice people. I don't care even if they weren't very nice people. The fact is, they came to New York trusting in the ability of the United States to protect visitors and citizens. And the United States, listen, Trump and Kelly, has failed. And you fail utterly. You're pathetic. Right? This has gone on, and Abel Danger has been warning you people for long enough. Right? So Field legitimately, I think, is getting very cross, because he's been at the front end of this. He's warned them. He's flown to Kuala Lumpur. He's explained endlessly on the Abel Danger site what is going down. We've been as clear as we can. It's a very simple case. Track it back to the City of London and the shareholders in Serco and Serco's investment banker, which is N.M. Rothschild and Son, and take them all down together. Over to you, Phil.
Well, let me cheer you up a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I got to make sure I don't expose anyone, and I don't think I am.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. So I put up a few images in the chat room, including the 2 drones, one made by Lockheed Martin, where a predecessor company employed Stephen Paddock as an auditor, and the other by McDonnell Detweiler, which was, of course, the the developer of the instrument approach procedure, final approach procedure maneuvers that allowed someone operating a drag and drop interface to drop the 4 Boeing aircraft at a place of their choosing, and for that matter, take the drones that were hiding behind the decoys into a target which nearly brought down the United States Republic. And of course, if that 4th plane or 4th drone had hit the Capitol building on time instead of being 41 minutes late, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation, because all the members of the Congress and the Senate would have been deaded. And that's a pretty sobering thought, that X years later we still don't recognize that there was an attempted coup d'etat on 911 from the deep state, armed by and working for example, the Greek life associates of Wilbur Ross, Serco's investment banker at NM Rothschild. Incidentally, Wilbur Ross was also the investment banker for the Trump operation in 1990 when Trump Danger going bankrupt. And so Wilbur Ross worked to deal with the creditors, but unfortunately the borrower is always the servant of the lender. So I'm much more concerned about Wilbur Ross's proximity to Donald Trump and what he might do to Donald Trump's business affairs than I am about the generals who are still waiting to be counted. They got to stand up. Right? So we've covered a lot of ground, Phil, but let me just run you through a procedure that I think happened in this episode on the bike path. This guy, Saipov, had been tracked from the time he entered the country with a Serco diversity visa. He was tracked with deep face recognition software. I was just trying to visualize what might have happened on 911 and at the bike path along the Hudson River on the 31st of October. So this collage, and we do have some wonderful collage, we've got Alexander Haig playing the tables, we've got the CAI private equity group, we've got the front page of the briefing document for the Global Guardian, Vigilant Guardian war game, where obviously Osama bin Laden is pictured as a leader of the red team. And I can't recognize at this distance what the blue team insignia is, but it might be the Marine Corps or whatever. Maybe you can blow that up and see what you think, Phil. Anyway, there's a group of people in the junket rooms of elite hotels around the world that have been patched by Serco into the drone feed of instruments flying above New York and Washington, so they can watch exactly what transpires and place bets. And there are 2 kinds of bets in these junket rooms set up, I believe, by the CAI private equity group. There's one kind of bet where you bet on the time of the death of a high-value target. A high-value target in the case of the Pentagon's U.S. Navy Command Center might be Gerald DeConto, the duty officer. Another kind of bet would be on the body count of the low-value targets, and I'm talking in the mind of the conspirators. And they would see perhaps the colleagues of Captain Gerald DeConto, and I think there are about 125, as low-value targets. So they would allow betting on that would range, I don't know, from 100 to 200 people. And then subsequent to the event, they would announce either verbally or through digital means the precise time when they deemed Captain Gerald DeConto to have died. And that would be the date and the timestamp along the bottom of those images taken from outside the Pentagon, which, as we all know, was September the 12th, 2001 for the date. And for me, what that says is there was a guy placing a bet in September the 12th, 2001 on the precise time that Gerald DeConto would die. And such a character would, of course, be William Jefferson Stevens, William Jefferson Clinton, who is in the Port Douglas Sheraton Hotel in Queensland on September the 12th, 2001, getting a live feed why wouldn't Bill Clinton have been watching? Maybe that gives him some kind of sexual thrill. 1737-19 would have been the time in Dubai, at the Dubai Creek Hotel, also run by Sheraton, which is now part of the Marriott chain. So they would have been watching, they would have been placing their bets. Some people might have placed their bets on the time of death of Captain Gerald de Conto, others on the number of people that would be killed around him, which would send a severe disciplining message to the people who, in the normal course of events, would have protected Captain Gerald de Conto. But they're all dead now, at least the ones that are physically next door to him. So his death is unavenged until Abel Danger came along. Incidentally, I'm very grateful for whatever those donations are coming through or from whomever they're going, but feel in your wisdom, I know you'll handle everything properly, but obviously it's a great compliment that they think that we are